Hello again and welcome back to the channel. This video will be speaking to and introducing the basics of an ETF, an exchange traded fund. This video should answer what is it, where can I find or invest in an ETF, what are the different types, how can I make money off of it, should I invest in an ETF, and anything else I should know. I know it gets annoying to keep hearing this, but if you're new here, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. First point, what is an ETF, an exchange traded fund? To put it simply, it is a publicly traded investment fund that trades like a stock. An investment company will put together these funds and publicly list them on a stock exchange. Every ETF usually has a purpose. It's not just a bunch of randomly chosen stocks and securities put together into a fund and then listed on the stock exchange. You can find an ETF that tracks the Mexican market. You can find ETFs that track the Australian, Canadian, or US markets, just to name a few. An example would be the ETF with the ticker SPY or SPY. It was created and launched in 1993 by the company SPDR to mimic and track the S&P 500. That's the purpose. This was meant for investors who want to invest in the S&P 500, but instead of buying all 500 companies separately, because you can't invest directly in the index, the only other way to do that was to buy all 500 shares yourself, 500 companies yourself, or this new, not really new anymore, this alternative way is buy an ETF that has the exact holdings of the S&P 500. So in theory, if the S&P 500 goes up by 5%, the ETF SPY or SPY should also go up by 5%. The second question that this video is going to answer is where can I find or invest in an ETF? They are bought and sold just like stocks. So similar to stocks, they can be found only on the stock market. In order to buy or sell shares in an ETF, you'll need access to the stock market, and you can only have access through a broker. Or in my case, I use a discount broker called Questrade. And similar to stocks, ETFs also come with their share of fees and commissions upon purchase or sale. Keep in mind there's no minimum investment other than the share price itself. But like some mutual funds have, let's say $1,000 or $10,000 minimum. If you wanted to buy one share of an ETF and that share price was $10, you can invest just that $10. Third point, what are the different types of ETFs? There are thousands, but because they can hold a variety of stocks and securities, you can find an ETF for almost any specific investment purpose. You can buy ETFs that track the S&P 500 or Dow Jones or the TSX. These are index ETFs. Or you can focus on specific sectors. You can find an oil ETF if you'd like. Those are going through a rough time right now. Or you can find a tech sector ETF, which probably has 20, 30 tech companies. You can find a retail sector ETF, which might have another 20, 30 companies, just to name a few. Here's another point. There are multiple ETFs that are listed that are doing the same thing with the same purpose. Take SPY, for example. This was created by SPDR to mimic the S&P 500. But there's also VOO, VOO, which was created by Vanguard to do the exact same thing, to mimic the S&P 500. If we compare their holdings side by side, it looks mighty familiar, doesn't it? How you should read this. Microsoft, you see here, is 5.69% of the S&P 500. So these companies have this ETF fund holding the exact same percentage, the 5.69. Similar with Apple, similar with Google, and so on. Number 4, how do I make money off of ETFs? Very simple. Similar to stocks, they can increase and decrease in value, and that's how you'll make your money. Let's take SPY, for example. Let's say you bought it at $230, which I feel is a good price. A few days later, you're a mini Warren Buffett. The price goes up to $250, and that's when you sell, if you want to. So you made $20, that's a $20 capital gain, exact same as a stock. Another way to earn income is by dividends. So let's say you buy the same stock at $230, it kind of hovers, you don't sell, so you're holding. They pay a dividend every quarter. So if you're holding, you'll earn dividend income similar to a stock. This payment is out of the fund's income. It is paid by the investment managers of the fund. So Vanguard has VOO, VOO. They earn dividends and capital gains from investing in all 506 S&P 500 companies. So from that income, they take it out and they pay the shareholders that own the ETF. Number 5, should I invest in ETFs? This is a tough one to answer because everyone's different, every investor's different, your goals, your knowledge. So I'm gonna say yes, everyone should own some ETFs in their portfolio just for diversification. But as a standalone question, should I only invest in ETFs? Is that like in comparison to the alternatives? Is it mutual funds or stocks? Say no to mutual funds. Again, it all depends on your goal. Like if you choose the market or index ETF, it's great for diversification, but might not do as well if you pick your own stocks and you get super unlucky. But keep in mind, if let's say you're choosing like Tesla and you bought at 900, you could also get super unlucky. One item to keep in mind is if you want to buy a sector ETF. So let's say you're a new investor, you watch this video and you set up your trading account and you go, okay, I want to invest. This video said ETFs are diversified, so I'm going to buy an oil ETF. That's my stock. That's my diversified ETF stock. Well, not so fast. I was merely referring to ETFs that invest in indexes overall that are diversified. So again, S&P 500, that is 506 companies, not 500, it's weird. 506 companies of the top companies in the US. It's not one specific sector. So you can have energy, tech, financial, retail. It's all the companies. That is a diversified ETF. But if you're buying in an oil ETF, you're only like the ETF might choose a diversification of 20 to 30 companies in oil alone. That is not diversified. That's investing only in one industry, one sector. That's the opposite of being diversified. So I hate to be annoying. I hate to sit on the fence. So I'm going to say yes, everyone should have some ETFs in their portfolio, but also it might not be right for you depending on your goals, your knowledge, your timing. What I can say is I would choose an ETF over a mutual fund any day. I don't like mutual funds at all. I don't recommend them. I think they're too expensive, like in terms of management fees. They have minimums and you can't buy, sell, or invest whenever you want. I feel like I'll have to create an entirely separate video of ETFs versus mutual funds and why you should choose ETFs every time. Number 6, anything else I should know? You're probably wondering, why does Vanguard or SPDR create ETFs? What benefit do they get out of it? Why are they helping us as shareholders make money? This is easy to answer. Obviously, they're charging a management fee. This is noted when you look up a fund's management expense ratio or expense ratio. Keep in mind, they're not charging you as a shareholder. Nothing comes directly out of your account. You'll never see a negative charge to your account as a management fee for an ETF that you hold. The expense ratio is baked into the price of the share. So that's why if the S&P 500 goes up 5%, your ETF might only go up 4.97. As an example, this is just a rough example, but as the fund makes money, the manager will take, let's say in this case, 0.03 of the fund's assets every year for themselves. Also, a little side note, whether or not the fund is making money, they're still charging that management fee. They're not charging 0.03 on the income, they're charging 0.03 on the assets. Some ETF expense ratios are more expensive or cheaper than others. I know index funds are usually slightly cheaper because that's more passive, but this should always be taken into account when comparing ETFs for yourself and when choosing one for your own portfolio. That's it for today, guys. Just the basics of ETFs. Please check out my past videos on Intro to Investing in Stocks and tune in to my upcoming video on ETFs for Canadians specifically. If as Canadians we want to invest in US ETFs, some people want to deal with foreign exchange from US to CAD, some people don't. We have a variety of different options of where to hold it in our TFSA or our RRSP. I'm going to break those down in a separate video. Bye for now.